Lots of people think they are listening. You might think you're listening. You're quiet, you're not interrupting, you're letting the other person speak. But most of the time, you're not actually listening. You might be just hearing. People sometimes are just simply waiting for their turn to talk, thinking about what you're going to say next, what you're trying to fix when you say it. Or you're hearing what they're saying and immediately running it through your own perspective. And because of that, people don't feel understood. Conversations go in circles and arguments escalate. And sometimes the conversation ends without anything ever being resolved. And I'm not saying you don't care. You could have the best of intentions, but you were never actually hearing what was being said. Real listening isn't just about being quiet. It's almost a complete set of skills. And most people are missing at least a few of them. And some people, many of them. Things like reflexiveness, which is being aware of your own reactions, your own biases, and how they're influencing what's happening there in the moment, your own preconceptions. That's reflexiveness, which shouldn't be confused with reflectiveness, which is accurately understanding and feeding back what the other person actually means and is feeling. Reflect back. Reflecting back is one of the core principles of active listening. Patience. Letting someone finish fully instead of jumping in too early. Presence. Being mentally there, not half listening while trying to think about something else. Emotional awareness. Picking up on how something feels, not just what's being said. I have a video on emotional awareness if you'd like to watch it. Restraint is not interrupting, not trying to fix, or not trying to take over the conversation. Curiosity is asking to try and understand better, not to try and challenge or to prove a point. Clarification, checking you've actually understood what the person is saying instead of just assuming or presuming you know what they're talking about. And if you don't use at least some of these skills, what you think is listening will come across as distance or defensiveness or disinterest. So let's go through a few ideas, and not just what they are, but what happens when they're missing. And some things you can do to better your listening skills. I've been trying to study or learn some of this recently, and it's actually quite interesting. So, one of the first mistakes people make is they listen to try and respond, not to try and understand. So, instead of fully taking in what the other person is saying, they're already preparing in their head what they're going to say next or what they're going to answer to it. And this is already where communication will start to break down because the other person, I promise you, can feel that distance in you. They can feel that you're not really here with them. So the first skill on this is simple. Reflect back what you heard. Not word for word now, but the meaning of what the person said. So paraphrase and summarize. You say things like, so what you're saying is, maybe you felt ignored when that happened. Or that sounds like it was really frustrating. Or something like, so it wasn't just about that moment. It's been building for a while, it seems. And that's how you get the conversation to slow down. And the other person will start to feel actually understood. The second problem is jumping in too quickly. You interrupt or you try and finish their sentences. You assume you know where they're going with what they're saying, or you know exactly what they're talking about. And sometimes you might be right. But that's not the point. You've now taken control of the conversation. So the second skill is let them finish completely and then pause. Now, not too long a pause, but do try and understand that the right type of pause in a situation like this can nearly be considered a tool. In a therapy setting, a therapist will often pause after you've talked for a while to let you try and process what you might have just said, or to try and get you to talk more about what you just said. It's a skill in itself, because you need to be able to hold that kind of awkwardness. And in general, if people are given a chance to talk, they will talk more. But also just pausing for long enough to show that you're not rushing in to speak. And then you can say something like, go on. Or is there anything else about that? Or something even more simple like, I'm still listening. The third mistake is trying to fix everything. Someone shares something difficult and you immediately move into solutions or advice or suggestions or explaining what you think they should do next. But sometimes they don't want a solution. The chances are they already know the solution and they just want to be heard in the moment. Sometimes just being and feeling heard is all a person needs and wants. And that in itself can be extremely cathartic. So the third skill is ask before you fix. You can say something like, do you want advice on this? Or do you just want me to listen? Or something like, would it help if I gave you my thoughts? Or do you just need to get this out? I'm here for both. Or something like, I don't want to jump in with solutions if that's not what you need. You see, now you're not assuming anymore. You're learning and then actually respecting what the person wants, what they actually want. The fourth problem is making it about yourself. You relate too quickly. You bring in your own experience constantly. You shift the focus. And even if it is your intention to connect, it can feel like you've taken over. So the fourth skill is to learn to stay with their experience first before you relate it back to you, which can be considered a moment of connection. But before that, you can say things like, that sounds really tough for you. Or something like, I see how that could affect you. Or I can see why that affects you. Or something like, that makes sense based upon what you've been dealing with. You see, there you're not ignoring your own experience. You're just not centering on it. So the fifth skill is learning to listen for the emotion, not just the story in front of the emotion, which is a skill in itself. You can say things like, you sound to me more disappointed than angry. Or it feels like that hurt you more than you expected. You're reflecting back. Or there's more going on here than what's just happened, isn't there? That's where the real connection in conversations start to happen, especially deep conversations. And when you start doing these things, conversations will change and people will open up to you more. And they start to trust you more. If that's what you want. And you learn more. And things actually get resolved instead of just repeating endlessly these mind-numbing cycles. Because once you learn actually how to listen, people don't just talk to you differently. They'll actually feel different around you. I think all this is fascinating. My name is John. You're welcome to be here, and you're more than welcome to stay here. Oh, and if you enjoyed this video, please like it. I would really appreciate it. And if you'd like to see more content like this, please subscribe. I always forget to say that. I love you. Have a good day.